It should cost $1 billion to look this good. Or whatever Beyonce said when she was on that track. Anyway, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl aw-peh, and I'm in Tokyo. If you're new here, you are in for a treat. And if you are a loyal subscriber, thank you for coming back. Today, we are going to do a very chatty get ready with me. And I have a lot to say. Okay, I'm going to be popping my gums about me running into that man that first night I was back in Tokyo. Y'all seen that vlog. The crazy things this Taiwanese girl was saying to me in the club. How I'm never going back to America. And how America is a sinking ship, to be quite honest. And also this new thing that I'm launching. I can't wait for you guys to hear about it. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Your support really helps me grow my channel, and it also lets me know what you guys want to see more of. Okay, let's get into it. I genuinely cannot believe that I ran into that man on my first night out back in Tokyo. Like, are you kidding me? If you haven't seen that video already, what are you doing? That was 2 weeks ago. You gotta lock in. But essentially, I'll post it here, don't worry. But essentially, I went out for my friend's birthday. If you've never seen my very first dating in Japan storytime video, I'll link that video here too. Both of these videos will be in the description box, so you can watch them in order so you can get the full context of what I'm about to say. Long story short, I posted a video talking about how I went out with this basketball player in Japan. It was not a great experience. Through that though, I learned that he was friends with one of the friends I had made out here, right? That situation was over, never saw him again. The girl doesn't bring him up to me, like, it's cool. So that girl's birthday was the beginning of January. And so we went out for her birthday. It was just like me, her, and like 2 other girls. And then we randomly ran into him with a group of friends that she knew that wanted to be with her for her birthday. So the groups kind of like joined. So I wound up spending that night. I think spending that night is a bit gratuitous. We didn't spend the night together, but we were in the same group of people. And like, when he walked up to me, he was like, watch the video for yourselves. When you watch that video though, I blurred his face out. Okay, I know I'm all over the place, but so I blurred his face out because when we went to dinner the first night, he was telling me, like, he asked me, I was filming that night, and he asked me like, oh, can you like just be mindful not to get my face or my voice in it? My GM is really like picky about like the social media that we like put on the internet, which I have heard from other basketball players now. So I don't think that he was just saying that. I think it works in his favor, but I believe him now fully. So I blurred his face out, and I really wish that I hadn't, because if you could see he's literally coming over to the group for me. He doesn't even see his friend. His friend's back is turned to him completely. He and I made eye contact, and he starts walking over. I think 2 things happened. I think 1, my friend like immediately jumped in to like kind of handle the situation on my behalf. And like, she was like, I think you can still see in the shot, she kind of like turns around, hugs him, and like moves him away a bit, which I appreciated. Shout out to Girl Code. And 2, I think I had my camera out, but even when I didn't have my camera out, like, he kept it real cute, which I appreciate from him, because the last 2 times I saw him ended in like almost like, I don't want to say screaming matches, because that's not fair. The last time I was a bit turned up, but he wasn't screaming. I was upset. But he kept it real cute. He did not bother me. Like, there was a few points throughout the night where he definitely was trying to like get my attention, to like give me a temperature check, see if it was cool to talk. I ignored him. He didn't push the issue. It was great. Shout out to him for learning and growing, I guess. And you want to know the crazy thing, and I feel like I need to address this because I think it comes up about just like blurring his face and like what he said to me that first night. The reason why I did not blast his face all over the internet was because at no point did I feel like, I never felt physically unsafe. I never felt like, he didn't get aggressive with me at any point. He was very calm. Calm is too generous, but he was on a chill thing for sure. Like, he was being annoying. He was persistent, but like, he just didn't make me feel overall unsafe, which is why I wouldn't like describe him as like a predator or anything like that. I feel like he's one of those men that genuinely don't understand how like creepy they're being, or like how overbearing, how pushy they're being, which leads me into a story that I've never told on the internet before, but like, if you know me in real life, you've probably heard me tell this story. When I was fresh out of undergrad, so like 21, 22, I moved to LA, and I lived right right in downtown LA, like the outskirts, like just safe enough that I didn't feel like I was gonna die at any moment, you know? And it was a cute part. It was a nice part of downtown, and there was no parking. So I had to pay for a parking garage. It was maybe like just over a block away from my apartment. And I'll never forget, it was after Thanksgiving. I had just come home from a Thanksgiving party. It was about 1 a.m. and I was walking the block from my car to my apartment, and I had on like a skirt and really strappy, like heeled sandals. This guy comes up to me. Well, first he's across the street. He says, hey, he's trying to wave me down. I said, oh, happy Thanksgiving. Keep it pushing. He crosses the street and he like kind of jogs to catch up to me. And he's like talking to me, and I'm saying, I'm like, oh no, I'm just trying to get home, whoopty whoop. And he's like, oh, can I get your number? It's like, oh, you know, I'm not interested, whoopty whoop. And he keeps following me. And I'm like, okay, once I turn the street, there's no way for him to not know where I live. So I need to figure out what's happening. I quickly, you know, my survival instincts start kicking in. I'm assessing the situation. I'm like, I can't outrun him in these shoes, and there's not enough time for me to stop and take them off. So I need to figure out what's about to happen. So I stop walking because he's trailing behind me. I stop walking, I turn around, and I ask him very calmly, I say, are you about to R-word me? And he... I have to laugh because when I think about this moment often, but he looked more scared in that moment than I felt. When I asked him, when I just said it very plain and clear like that, he looked terrified. And he started like foghorn. He gets to stumbling over his words, and he's like, why would you ask me that? I would never do something like that. He's shook. He hasn't moved. The only thing moving is his gums. He's shook. He's paralyzed. And I'm like, because I'm trying to tell you I'm not interested, and you're following me to my home, and it's 1 a.m, and I just need to mentally be prepared for whatever you got on your mind right now. He's like, why would you say that? I would never do anything like that ever. And I'm like, so why are you following me? It's 1 a.m. And he just doesn't say anything. He literally stops talking. So I take a step back, another step back. I realize he's not gonna move. He eventually, like, once I'm far enough, he like eventually like turns and like goes back to wherever he was going. I remember like the next day I called my cousin and I was telling her the story, and she was like, are you out of your freaking mind? And I didn't see the issue then, and I kind of see it now, like just from like a big sis, little sis type of vibe. Like, you wouldn't want somebody you care about to put themselves in a situation like that. But the reality is I was already in a situation. You feel me? Like, the reason why I asked him was because I knew that I couldn't outrun him. And if he would have said yes, or if he would have done anything that made me felt like it was a yes, I would have had to attack first. That's really what it came down to. At this point, my survival instincts were kicking in. It was gonna be me or him. And that's just what it was gonna have to be. And I just needed to mentally prepare for that. And I always tell this story, and I have to laugh because the look of fear in his eyes, I don't think I've ever had a grown man look at me fearfully outside of that time. He could not believe that I had asked him that. Like, I don't know what like wasn't clicking before that clicked then for him, but he was shook. And I realized every time I reflect on that moment, I realize it all over again. But like, there are some men in the world who generally do not know where the line is. Because for me, I don't even want to be on the same side of the street as somebody at 1 a.m, let alone to follow them. Like, I know that that's weird. Some men genuinely don't. Some men genuinely don't. And it's like, and this is not me excusing that kind of behavior. This is just me saying I have realized in my time that some men genuinely do and say things that are so out of pocket and so weird and so creepy because they genuinely don't know any better. Editing aw-peh here. So as you watch that clip, you can kind of see I'm like struggling with how I want to end that sentence. I wound up ending it with I don't know, but that's not true. And I feel like I was doing a disservice to women everywhere by not just calling a spade a spade. Men like this exist because they have been indoctrinated into rape culture. Particularly when I'm talking about the story about that guy in LA. When I confronted him with the use of that word, I think that's when things clicked into him. Like, consent exists outside of just like a sexual setting. Him following me after saying I did not want to be followed it's a part of rape culture. He thinks it's okay, right? Because he didn't put his hands on me, right? I think a lot of times men who are indoctrinated in rape culture feel like they still get to think of themselves as the good guys if they don't get physical with a woman, which is why, like I said, the guy in Japan, when he said what he said, that is result of being indoctrinated into rape culture. I genuinely don't think he had any intentions of getting physical with me, but the fact that he thought he could say something like that, and I genuinely believe he thought that he was saying something comforting, is because he was indoctrinated into rape culture. The guy in LA was indoctrinated into rape culture, and I just didn't want this video to be put out in the world without me calling a spade a spade. I also think rape culture plays a huge role in dating in Japan, specifically rape culture playing a huge role in dating in Japan as a Black foreigner. If you guys want me to talk more about that specifically, please let me know, because I could make a whole video about that. Just about that, okay? Back to the video. Sometimes if you just hold that mirror up to them, they can see that they're out of pocket and they can adjust, you know? I think about that man often. I wonder, like, did he learn a valuable lesson that night?
I hope so.
Has he ever done that again? What does he, like, how does he tell that story? I'm always curious. Anyway, all of that, I have not even started my makeup. All of that to say, this is crazy. I have not even started my makeup. All of that to say, that man in Japan, the one that be hooping, he falls into that category. It is my genuine belief that he thinks that what he said that night was meant to comfort me. With the benefit of hindsight and seeing how he has interacted with me after that, I genuinely think he thought that saying that to me was going to bring me peace. I think he thought he was saying something that was going to make me feel comfortable, which is just a reminder that men are just genuinely stupid. Anyway, can't believe I ran into that man on a night out. That's crazy, right? Let me finish my brow. The issue is I can't chop it up with y'all and do my brows at the same time. I need to start coming on here with the brows already done. Give me just 1 minute. Okay, now we can really chat. Now we can really get into some things. So in that vlog of my first night out since being back in Tokyo, there was something that didn't make it into the footage, and that was this lovely Taiwanese girl that I met who said some of the funniest things that really should have been offensive, but they weren't. She said she delivered it in such a way that I was not offended, and I want to share some of those things with you right now. So the first happened when she mentioned that she didn't want to date Japanese guys, which was funny because, well, we're in Japan. But like, there were like non-Japanese guys at the bar, and I was like, oh, you know, what about him? What about them? Whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. Which led her to ask me, oh, have you ever been like with an Asian guy? Now, if you're familiar with this channel, you know I have been entangled with precisely one Asian man. And I told her that. She was like, oh, from where? I said, oh, he was from the Philippines. And she was like, well, you know, why didn't it work? Or I think I said something like, I would never do that again. Something like that. And she was like, oh, like why? Like, why didn't it work? And I told her flat out, like, oh, you know, his mom hated me because I was Black. And she looked and she was like, oh, you know, like a sad look. And then she like thought about it. And she looked at me and she said, do they know that Filipinos are the Black people of Asia? She had me completely gagged, I fear. Don't get me wrong, I've heard that before from lots of people, not just about Filipinos, but just Southeast Asians in general. And I thought that that was so funny. And so I told her, I said, well, so I've been told, you know? And she was like, yeah, that's so weird. Like, I can't believe that. And that really cracked me up. She then proceeded to say,
if I was into girls, I would only date Black women.
And she was like, Black women are so beautiful. You guys are so fun. Whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. And she's just giving us Black women compliments. Cool. Then she repeats herself. She says, yeah, if I was into girls, I would only date Black women. And then she stops. She thinks. And she's like, men, I'm still open. I'm sorry, this girl was too funny. So when she said it like that, I was like, oh, okay, you still have like hope for like Taiwanese men? She was like, no, not Taiwanese, but some other Asian. She asked me a question and I want to word it properly, but she was basically like, don't you ever just like, you know, you've been dating Black men your whole life. Now you want to try something different. She was like, that's kind of where I am with Taiwanese guys. And the way she said it was just so funny and so real because, girl, I get it. I get it. Sometimes after a lifetime of jollof and fried chicken, maybe you want an egg roll. Some of y'all be wanting mayonnaise sandwiches. I'm judging. Not too much, but a little. But like, it was just so funny the way she said it. She was very, very, very hilarious. And I didn't get her IG. I didn't get her IG because I didn't want her IG, and I didn't want her IG because I'm trying to divest from Instagram. More on that later. But back to what I was saying. She was just so funny, and I wish I would have like been able to keep in touch with her. I fumbled so hard. There's very seldom like a passing traveler that I like want to keep in touch with. She was definitely hilarious. I'm just gonna use this brush because I genuinely can't be bothered. We're not cursing. We're not cursing. I can't be bothered. I can no longer say my favorite British phrase. But yeah, anyway, she was really funny. I said this in that vlog, but like one of my favorite things about living in Japan is like all of the passing tourists that I get to interact with, and just like meeting people in a way that I never really experienced living in LA or living in the DMV, and just being exposed to like different cultures. Like I had never met a Taiwanese person before. It's very new to me. She was telling me about the Costco in Taiwan. If you know me, you know I love Costco. So we were bonding over our mutual love for Costco. Like it was just really interesting, and I love that about that. I met a girl who was Egyptian, but she was from Switzerland, and she was like a flight attendant, and so she was just in town for the night. And just the people that you meet in Japan are they're a vibe. They're just a vibe, truly. Mark Zuckerberg, the entire Meta family, bring your behind in here. Let's talk about Instagram. I wasn't on Instagram for years and years and years and years and years. I just started my Instagram last summer because I moved to Japan, and my friends were like, we need a way to contact you. Like, we don't know what your phone number situation is going to be. We have to be able to keep in touch, which made perfect sense. So I made an Instagram account. I am already regretting it, and I'm already like, yeah, I definitely need to figure out a new way to like keep in touch with people, especially now that like my number situation is pretty locked in. I have the same number I've always had. No need to be fearful that it's changing. Hold on, let me lift my eye up so I'm not making a droopy eye. I don't know what this is gonna look like when it's all said and done, but we'll see. Because after this whole Trump inauguration TikTok fiasco, I'm so good on social media. YouTube is social media, yes, but it's also like, it's more TV than social media. But when I tell you I am so good off of social media, like I don't want to tweet. I barely want to be on TikTok anymore. I don't want to be on Instagram. And also like, okay, so you know when I first got back from Maryland, my sleep cycle was off. And so one night I was up at like 2 a.m. randomly. And you know when you just be so bored, you just start going through the settings in your phone. That was where I was at that time. And I went through, and I don't know where I was. I was somewhere in like the privacy settings. I looked and it was showing me all the apps that had recently accessed my photos, and Instagram had accessed my photos 30 minutes prior. Meanwhile, I hadn't even been on the app in like a day. And I'm like, so you're just going in there periodically to see what I got going on? That's crazy. I immediately shut down all of like the picture, microphone, everything from Instagram because I was so freaked out. And I'm not one of those people that's like,
I don't want the government to have my information. I don't want these businesses to have my information.
Because I understand to a certain extent it's unavoidable, but that felt very avoidable to me. And I've checked it every day since then. It's been a couple of weeks, and no, Instagram has not checked on it again after I shut down all the settings. But it's just like, that's so crazy to me. I don't know, it just made me feel so uncomfortable. And then that plus like the TikTok thing of like, it went dark and then it was back up again, and then it was like different somehow. I will say my feed definitely feels a little different, but I can't put my finger on what it is. I don't know if I just am not on it enough anymore because I'm still so gun shy that I need to reset my FYP. Like, I'm not entirely sure what's making that super drastic change about it, but I don't like it. I don't know if this is what I want, but I'm tired of trying to figure it out. Laziness is taking over. It's like, no, I think this is solid. But honestly, all of that has really re-sparked my desire for ownership. I don't know if you guys watch or have ever seen Any Given Sunday. I really like her content. She had, like, YouTube recommended like an old video of hers. She was talking about why she still kept a blog. Basically, she was just talking about like the importance of ownership. And for those of you who don't know, I have had my own website for years. I just haven't really updated it in ages. But I was like, I think I want to, like, all of my updates, all of my pictures, all of my random thoughts that I would normally tweet out, I think I just want to move them to my website and not have to worry about which corporate billionaire who thinks he's Lex Luthor in the making is gonna try to steal my information. So yeah, I've been blogging. This liner is super wet, so I have to wait for it to dry down before I can fully open my eyes. Your girl's been blogging. Check the website. It's gonna be here, but the link is also gonna be in the description box as well. I have a few blog posts. I have my pictures up from like my Hokkaido trip and just photos that I want to post on Instagram, but am now feeling like I don't want to. And also, this probably means nothing to like the average user, but if you are using Instagram as a creative, as an entrepreneur, as an influencer, content creator, please take a look at like the privacy policy with Meta and like the terms of use, because before, originally when Meta first took over, they had a very simple policy saying they can license your information to use, and they need to do that in order to share your photo on the site. Like that's how the site works. Cool. They've changed some of the wording that even me, 2 degrees in English, am like, it kind of sounds like now they're saying that they can use it however they want and that they own it. And it just made me, the wording made me feel really uncomfortable, and I just didn't have any like legal counsel to consult with to see if I was reading that correctly. Just something to keep in mind, because I remember when I was reading through the Red Note terms and conditions, Red Note does own your information in perpetuity. You can, if you post something on Red Note and delete it right after, Red Note will still keep it and own it and can do whatever they want with it. Just be mindful of stuff like that. If you're a casual user, again, probably doesn't mean anything to you, but if you're using it with like a purpose and intentionality, trying to build a platform, try to monetize on those apps, just be mindful of stuff like that. Anyway, like I was saying, your girl has a website. She's back to blog. You guys should definitely give the website a looky-loo, read through some blog posts, drop some likes, drop some shares. If you guys have it, it's powered by WordPress. If you guys have like your own WordPress account, if you give it a reblog, WordPress tells me, and then I can like, it'll be like, here's this person's latest post. I found so many people like that from just them like liking or reblogging mine, and then WordPress just tells me, oh, this person, you should read this from this person. I hope my eyes are like even. I don't feel like they are. Anyway, all of us say, yeah, 2025 is all about ownership. Even my YouTube videos, I'm like gonna start putting the raw, not the raw files, but like gonna start hosting them on that website as well, so it can just kind of be like a one-stop shop for all of my things, so that, I don't know, maybe, you know, YouTube goes not belly up, but maybe they sell out. I don't want to be beholden to people who have no like moral code. Like Mark Zuckerberg doesn't have a moral code. Elon Musk doesn't have a moral code. I don't want to be beholden to these people's websites knowing that I don't agree with how they operate. Which, now that we're talking about lack of moral code, let's get into America as a whole, okay? Before we fully move on from that, I did just want to say Blue Sky is still cool with me, and I'm about to start ramping up my posts on Blue Sky because I actually really like that platform. The platform is really starting to grow on me, and oh, you guys, I'm so sorry. My niece just texted me. She said, I'm learning Japanese on Duolingo. That's my boo. I love her. Anyway, nothing too extra, you know. I love her real bad. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, Blue Sky is cool with me. YouTube is cool with me, and my website is cool with me. You guys should check me out. You're obviously checking me out on YouTube already. Check me out on Blue Sky and on the website. It's just I am opeyemi. She said, now if you ever come back to America, we could talk trash, because I'm not cursing, in Japanese. That's funny. That's actually a perfect segue to what I was about to say, because I'm never going back to America. I'm never going back to America. For a real long time, I was like, I don't even think I'm gonna stay in Japan past 2 years, but going to America and then coming back to Japan, Japan's my home. America it's beyond the ghetto. Like, I feel like you can still make do in the ghetto. I feel like America used to have a few redeeming qualities. Now it has none. And one thing about me, baby, I'm really good about peeping the signs. And it has definitely saved me in a lot of situations. And the few times that I peeped the signs and ignored it, I regretted it. So I don't do that no more. And the signs are on the wall for America. That is a sinking ship. I don't mean to be grave, but do you know how many people, wait, hold on, this is uneven. Ooh, this is too low. It's all right, we'll fix it. Where is it even at? We'll fix it, guys, don't worry. That's why we underpaint, get rid of mistakes like this. Anyway, the amount of people that are gonna have to be like put in the ground for America to get better, and I'm not talking about the people in power, power. Them too. I'm talking about everyday citizens. America's so far gone, only extreme violence is gonna get it to where it needs to be. At least back to like the stasis most of us grew up with, which was nowhere near perfect, but darn sure better than what it is now. But like so many people are gonna have to go. Like, and it's so fascinating being an American and watching America burn from the outside. Like, all right, don't piss me off. What did I do? There's this and there's this. Oh, okay. Like, being an American and living in Japan while all this is happening is just the most fascinating thing in the world to me. First of all, the TikTok thing, I don't want to come across as like holier than thou, but there's just, it needs to be said. Like, I feel like this is a safe space for me. So I'm just gonna say it. Watching the TikTok drama play out in real time has been so infuriating. Like, nobody has really, like I don't even know how I want to say this. Okay, so like the government has essentially G-checked the American people. Like, we can take away the things that bring you joy, the things that make you money, and there's no recourse. There's nothing you can do. And even though you have the power to do things, y'all are so used to comfort, you won't do any of the things that you could do. I just knew for sure that once TikTok was back, once everybody saw like this show of power and like domineering from the government, people were gonna at least, and I mean at least, start, I don't want to say unionizing, but organizing. Oh, let's boycott Instagram for a month to show them that we don't need them. And so getting rid of TikTok isn't gonna make us flood to them, so they need to leave us alone. Like, I mean, watching people just do nothing has been actually crazy. And like not being on the ground to do anything either has also been crazy. Like, come on, don't do that like this. Like, people are, okay, how do I want to say this? Because I feel like I've been jumbling my word. The government voted against TikTok. TikTok had to shut down, which we later see was a ruse, but okay. The lead up to TikTok shutting down, I thought people were gonna be like, all right, let's boycott all social media. Let them know we can't, be overturned like this. Instead, I saw people like, oh, we're just gonna move to Instagram. That's what they want. Okay, cool, whatever. And then TikTok shut down, whatever, came back, thanked the president by name, not the American government, not the politicians in America, but number 47 by name. And then people started saying, oh, Meta bought this app, Facebook owns this app. And then people kept saying, I'm still gonna just push more to Instagram. It's like watching people, it's like watching a hamster on a wheel. It's like nobody gets it. I used to try to give it to people so that they could get it, but people used to look at me like I was crazy. I'm very specific about the brands that I support and specifically where I spend my money, because I understand that that's the only thing that these companies understand is dollars. That's the only language they speak. So if I'm not giving them my money, I know that I am maintaining some semblance of power, at least in my life. And it's crazy to me that people don't understand that. Like, nobody wants to be uncomfortable, which is fair, but it's like, okay, you can be uncomfortable for like an hour and free for the rest of your life, or you can be comfortable and a slave for the rest of your life. Which one is it? And people choose the latter, and it's just so fascinating. And it's not even like a social media thing. Like, I saw somebody say, oh, Netflix increased their prices again after only 2 or 3 months. Why do they keep doing that? Because y'all keep paying the increase. Y'all remember the Martin episode where he was like, I can't pay the $5, and he stood 10 toes down on that, and in the end, Luis came back and was like, you don't got to pay the $5. I think it was like $2. He was like, we could do $2. Mind you, they was talking about $2 increase in the rent. Not even $5, $2 increase. Okay, he fought for that. And was he uncomfortable the whole episode? Yes. Cole almost froze and died trying to get a pizza. They was eating pigeons on a stick, but he stood on what he believed in, and he won in the end.
Maybe I guess it was worth it. We didn't even have to pay the whole increase.
I just stood up for what I believed in. That's just me. I don't believe I'm trying to raise your rent $500. Man, it's been $500. I'd have moved.
5% is still a little steep. It is a lot of money.
5%? Are you crazy? Girl, we talking $5.
And like, there's so many examples of like people standing on what they believe in and winning in the end in like American media and American society. Like, even just recently, you can feel however you want to feel about her, but like Monique, when they tried to go up against her after she won that Oscar and they blackballed her and she refused to bow down, she refused to take ownership for a problem that she did not create. She refused to play ball with them, and they blackballed her for 10 years. And when them 10 years was up, everybody circled back, giving her public apologies, cutting big checks. When you stand for something, when you're prepared to be uncomfortable for what you believe in, it's gonna work out. Like, it's gonna work out. The issue is a lot of people don't want to be uncomfortable with what they believe in. Or in America, a lot of it is like rapid individualism. They don't want to be uncomfortable to help someone else. But what a lot of Americans don't understand, and you can see that in like the way this whole election cycle played out. Today it's you, tomorrow it's me. So we have to act now. But people don't get that. People don't see that part. Okay. The unevenness is starting to piss me off, so I need to put the foundation on, make sure it's salvageable. The lack of a boycott in America right now is crazy. And people in Japan be like, why are American people just, did I do this right? Blushes after foundation. Trying to remember my pattern here. But yeah, people in Japan are like, why are the American people just letting this happen? And I'd be trying to explain as best as I can, like, that's by design. Like, the American government has gone through great lengths since the civil rights era to ensure that the American people do not feel safe, do not feel comfortable protesting. And like, that's by design. And I say it like that because it's true. It's all by design. And people just, play their roles and play into the hands of it. And it's saddening to see. And here's my thing. If you want to stay out of it because you feel like you've already done so much and you don't want to do any more, I get that sentiment completely. Like 110%. But like, okay, I keep seeing like Black women say, as part of the 92%, I don't plan on doing anything these next 3 years. Like, y'all chose this, y'all deal with it. But unless you finna do like I'm doing and get about the country, you can't have that mentality. Because whether you want to speak up or speak out about it, everything that's happening affects you because you still live there. And it's not to say like wallow in despair and just be dejected and resigned to your own misery. No, but something's gotta give, baby. Like, you either gotta get up out of there or you're gonna have to fight back. And it sucks. As a Black woman, it does suck because Black women always historically do the right thing. Black women are quite literally the backbone of American society. Take it back to the, to the early settler days, okay? Why does it look like this right here? Like, take it back to like the transatlantic slave trade. Black women were raising not just their children, but the white people's children too. They were cooking the food. They were rearing the children. They were keeping the home. Black women are quite literally the foundation of society, of American society, and probably other societies, but we're talking about America right now. And I know it's exhausting. It's super, super, super exhausting to always have to be in that role in such a thankless way and capacity. But if you are living in America, it's unavoidable. Unfortunately, it's unavoidable. We're going outside, so 2 blushes. I actually think I'm just gonna go with this super pink one. It matches my shirt. I get like why you don't want to be involved. I get it completely. But if you are gonna live in America, you are involved. There's just no way around it. And which means you gotta lock in. I feel like I got on my high horse a little bit there, but it's just like frustrating for me seeing like people not read the room, or even worse, reading the room and not being able to do anything, or not doing anything, whether they're able to or not. It's just so disheartening for me. And I will say, I've been seeing an uptick in like my comments asking how I moved to Japan. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I don't think Japan is the country for everybody, but if it's the country for you, I would love to make an updated video for you guys. So feel free to leave any questions you have about like moving to Japan in the comment section of this video. Okay, that was easier than I thought it'd be. I think a lot of the like helplessness though comes from a very healthy fear of starting over. When you've been in the same place your whole life, or when you've done the same thing your whole life, the idea of starting over and like building from scratch sometimes can be very daunting, and I get that. But doing nothing and letting life happen to you should be much more daunting. I might swerve in that corner, whoa, she just about letting me go. But honestly, the thought of doing nothing and just standing idly by while life happens to you should be way more scary, especially if you're in America, especially if you're a Black woman in America, especially if you are a minority in America. Because even if you did everything right, you voted for who you're supposed to vote for, spoke to the people in your life that you could speak to about voting, you did all that, still didn't go your way, and you still have to live in the aftermath. And that should be, I don't know, enough to motivate you to act? I don't know. Am I crazy? Am I making sense? On a lighter note, the makeup is eating, right? Like the makeup has chosen to consume a meal. Okay, there's a slight chance that I'm going back to my no gloss days. Let me tell you something. I love a glossy lip, except matte lips show up so much better on camera. I'm sure if you're watching this, you watched Girlfriends. So Jill Marie Jones once said she hated using gloss because it made her, because she had big lips, it made her look like she had just like finished eating something greasy, so she preferred matte. I was too young to understand matte. I grew up, I understood matte lips, but I didn't get what she was saying. But like when you're taking a picture and you have gloss on your lips, the gloss doesn't always give your lip the dimension that it has in person on camera. And so yeah, it just looks greasy. Like it just looks oily and like shiny. It doesn't give like the colors clearly have a dimension on my lips. Like you can see the liner, you can see the lipstick, the color. If I put a gloss on, you wouldn't be able to see it. Even if I put 2 colored glosses on, it doesn't perform the same way on camera. So yeah, there's your makeup tip of the day. For those of you who come here for the makeup tips, I'm so sorry. You're such a good sport to keep coming back. I'll say that much. Y'all, during the process of this, 2 of my nails came off. Why? Because I did them with barely any glue, and that's why so much of this is like off camera. This was such a good catch up. The only thing that would make this better is if you said something to me. That's what the comments are for. What are we thinking? What are we feeling? Okay, what are we thinking about the Taiwanese girl? What are we thinking about that man? What are we thinking about America? What are we thinking about my website? Like, give me the tea, tell me what we're feeling, and click this video on the screen right now so you can see another Get Ready With Me. We can chat about something totally different that time. See you in my next video. Bye.